What's happening, everybody? Early Merry Christmas to all. It's Bets and Ball Games with Edwards and Greeson. We're recording on Thursday, about a quarter after noon Eastern time. And let's get started by telling you about our good friends, Bet Online. They continue to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting, from the earliest odds to in-game live betting. BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball, NHL, and the UFC. Head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE. That's all caps BLEAV. Again, all caps BLEAV for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline. The game starts here. All right. What's up, Jay? How are you?
I'm great. I thought, we're getting into the bowl season, and there's no way to be more impartial on an SEC platform during football bowl season than showing that I'm an Auburn graduate. Because you know what? Auburn's not playing. Auburn has no football plans anytime in the near future. That said, the portal craziness, dear Lord, this is Christmas shopping season for every football program in the country.
Well, I didn't plan on doing any laundry today, and I've got a day game tomorrow, so I saved my Gator shirt, or at least my main Gator shirt these days. I saved it for tomorrow afternoon.
Do you have a Lucky shirt? Do you have a Lucky Gator shirt?
Don't you think I would have pissed on that shirt enough for the last 4 years that I would not have it anymore? I literally did that one time.
Language, Brian. Brian, we're going to really need to work on your language.
Just PISS. That's all.
Yeah. I've got kids, man.
Urinated. Urinated on. Okay. All right. Sorry.
Damn. For God's sakes, man. What the fuck? Oh no! What? Oh my word!
Listen to you.
Those were all jokes. They're like really bad dad jokes, like bad Santa jokes.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, we've got good news to start the show. And the good news came down yesterday afternoon as friend of the show. Well, not literally friend of the show, but we consider him a friend. The great Diego Pavia granted another year of eligibility. Now, from what I read, I guess the NCAA could appeal it, but it doesn't sound like their chances are very good, correct?
Well, I don't know if their chances are good or not. What I read in terms of Diego Pavia's case is the appeal, he'll be done with next year by the time the appeal gets finished in the court, in the legal system. So, the NCAA may very well appeal because of the ramifications of all of this.
Right.
But it's not going to affect Diego Pavia. And this is the biggest recruiting get Vandy's had since, I don't know, Jay Cutler. Another year of Diego Pavia now makes them salty
and more attractive to players in the portal.
Oh, they're portal kids, exactly.
Yes, absolutely. So Diego, what a season. So 2,133 passing yards, 17-4 TDI-INT ratio, 716 rushing yards, and 6 touchdowns. It leads Vandy on at least a 4-game improvement from 2-10 to 6-6. They will be bowling against Georgia Tech in Birmingham on Friday, December 27th. So we'll hit on that game.
And it's officially been renamed to the Smart Kids Bowl between Vandy and Georgia Tech. It's IQ 180 or better to get into the lower bowl of the seats. But for the folks who are wondering about this, Diego Pavia sued the NCAA on the very basic American constitutional right to earn a fair wage. And he was suing, saying that the junior college time that he played junior college football in New Mexico before he transferred to New Mexico State, when he went to Auburn and beat Auburn, then before he transferred to Vandy and he went to Auburn and beat Auburn, that those should not count against his earning potential. But if we're not going to count against earning potential in the terms of collegiate athletics, I mean, Johni Broome is going to be a way better college basketball player than he's going to be an NBA basketball player. The way the modern game is the modern NBA game is structured. I mean, how's he going to guard Giannis? Giannis is a 7-1 point guard. How's he going to guard Victor Wembanyama? I mean, when you've got all these freaks and you've got LeBron, who is truly a 6'9", 280-pound point guard, guys like Oscar Tshiebwe, guys throughout the SEC who can make more money being a college basketball player than they would be being a late first rounder or certainly a second rounder with no guaranteed contract. If they can figure out ways to get extra years of college eligibility with the NIL, they'll make more money in college than they would in the NBA or the NFL, which is something we would have never how many truly? Let me ask you this. DJ Lagway, Nico Imaliava, and any number of returning college quarterbacks in the SEC, Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning, make more money next year than Brock Purdy, who is going to be the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, who is a seventh-round pick, who will be in the third year of his contract, making $400,000 a year.
I think they all make more money than Purdy next year.
Diego Pavio will make more money than Purdy next year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's wild. That is wild. Speaking of Broome, I know his shoulder came out. Was there any update on that? He never came back in the game, right?
He did not come back in the game, and it was a stomping, so there wasn't any real concern.
Sure.
What I saw was it's not going to be needed to be surgically repaired. He may miss a couple of games, but it's a very real and pertinent question for my mind. Not only the best
bother him all year,
the guy who's been the best player in the country for the first 6 weeks, and because Auburn is great, but if you've watched Auburn, and I have a lot, when they get in meaningful basketball games,
he's their go-to guy on half.
Well, I mean, it's one or two possessions, one side or the other. They got a bunch of talented dudes that they're happy to run with you and guard you and play up and down and whatever else. But if it's 68-64 and they need a bucket, everything runs through Johni Broome.
Sure.
And we all know how that is how March operates.
Yeah. So back to the Pavia thing. Do you have Hugh Freeze's phone number? Because I'd like to call him right now and let him know that his next ass beating from Diego Pavia comes on November 8th of 2025 at First Bank Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. And he'll still be 0 for life.
Butthole. Excuse me. I had something caught in my throat. I was eating lunch before we started talking right here. And,
so Hugh Freeze thought he was done with Diego.
Yeah, no,
he's not done.
He's terribly upset at this. He's going 0-4 against Diego Pavia. Holy buckets. Although Hugh Freeze is doing work in the portal, doing work.
Yeah, I see
Jackson
that.
Arnold, an upgrade. They got the offensive tackle. I've seen a whole lot of reports on social media today that the wide receiver, the Singleton kid from Georgia Tech, is – all I know is
I thought he was going to Ole Miss.
Is buying some yellow fella wood because he is as the biggest Auburn donor I know of. The yellow fella guy has to be writing some transfer portal checks for the way Auburn is landing talent.
Yeah, the offensive tackle you referred to was from Virginia Tech, Xavier Chaplin. They also got a 4-star corner from Maryland, last name Strader. Also got a 4-star. Oh, you might have been talking about this other 4-star offensive tackle from USC, Mason Murphy. And you got a punter from the Pokes. So, yeah, Auburn currently ranked 4th in the portal. Texas Tech is spending some Earl money. They're number 1, Ole Miss 2, LSU 3, Auburn 4, Mississippi State 5, A&M 7, Missouri 14th, South Carolina 16th. Arkansas's 18th, but they have 28 outgoing transfers, but they've gotten 8 commits. Kentucky is ranked 19th. This is all transfer specific. Vandy is actually 21st with 7 commits. And then we've got Oklahoma at 29. And a lot of teams are prepping for bowl games and not and waiting for new guys to pop. I don't know what their strategies are. But all right.
Before we get to the next one, and I think this is important, and we didn't kick it around the green room, but how far have we slid across the looking glass? Because you saying LSU is 7th in the portal made me think of the Brian Kelly, the Mike Norvell, the Mike Gundy, those stories where those guys are giving millions back to their school. We are in a unbelievable place.
Uncharted.
In not only college athletics, but college football specifically. Diego Pavia now is blowing up the NCAA limits of eligibility. We've got coaches now giving money back. It was humorous to me that those 3 guys who all probably feel like their fan bases are really ticked off at them.
Yeah.
A lot of people are calling it the loser's tax. I mean, those guys are giving money back, millions of dollars back to the NIL.
Well, where's Hugh Freeze's money?
Hey, hell yes, Hugh Freeze should be.
Where's Billy Bob Napier's money?
And you know what? I'm certain guys like Vince Dooley and Pat Dye and Bear Bryant are looking up going, they wanted to put us on NCAA probation for this exact thing that all these guys are doing, giving money back to players. And now, not only is it legal, everybody's tipping the visor to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. They've got to push the portal. I mean, obviously, they got to push the portal back to January. I mean, how in the world are these guys? They're dealing with bowl prep. I mean, you got guys, their teams are going to the CFP, and they're leaving.
Well, the Penn State backup quarterback is the worst example. That guy gets like snaps as their change-up QB. I forget his name, but he's their backup quarterback. So if the starting quarterback gets hurt, and this guy's in the portal, I mean, this is theory. The best way I've heard it described is this would theoretically be the NFL going into the wild card weekend and free agency opening.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
So, you know what? Okay, I'm in my final year of my contract. So, yeah, you know what? I'm out.
Bo Prabula is the Penn State guy. But I just saw on Hayes Fawcett's Twitter that somebody from Tennessee committed to, I mean, never mind the CFP game in 56 hours or whatever it is. Don't worry about that. I'm committing to another school now. All right. Anyway, where are we going next? Just right into the CFP games?
If you're going to mention Tennessee, then I think we go straight into the first round of the CFP. And I don't know a better place to start. What an unbelievable matchup. And this, I completely agree with what you said about they have got to fix the timing of the portal window. That has to be job number one of whoever's in charge of college football. So, Greg Sankey, I know you're watching because you're kind of a butthole, but I know you're watching anyway. So go ahead and get that fixed, will you? You call the Big Ten commissioner and y'all go ahead and get that fixed because the NCAA doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So the weather forecast via weather.com for Saturday night, a low of 12 degrees, clear to partly cloudy. So no sun, but or no snow, I should say. But winds north 5 to 10 miles an hour. So it'll be a little chilly in Columbus for whatever that's worth. I think I mentioned last week, I am on the Tennessee Volunteers, who at the moment Bet Online has at, there are not many books at 7. In fact, on this screen I'm looking at, that's got like 10 books. BetOnline is the only place that has 7. So if you like Ohio State, BetOnline's your spot. I like Tennessee, so I will be playing elsewhere and taking Tennessee plus the 7.5. And my thinking is that coaching advantage, Tennessee. I know Nico can be all over the place, but I like him a lot better than Will Howard. And Tennessee runs the ball very well. And I like Tennessee plus the 7.5. And I think you mentioned it last week. I mean, if Tennessee gets off to a good start, that crowd could turn on Tom Day, and this home field advantage could become minimal.
Well, the other part of it, and the reason I'm with you on this, Tennessee's defensive strength is they are 8 deep across the defensive line and with a couple of future NFL dudes. You know who else had that same strength? Michigan.
Yeah. Sure
and did. Michigan walked in there and punched them in the face. Ohio State beat up across the offensive line. Their best offensive lineman, their center, was lost for the year about a month ago. So I don't know how well Will Howard's going to handle the pressure, handle the moment. We certainly know that that is not Ryan Day's strong suit. So, I mean, as long as I get it north of a touchdown, I'm happy with the points. But, man, oh, man. I'd be real curious if Ohio State doesn't come out really irritated after the smoke screens and the talk. But I think the only play is Tennessee plus the points.
Yeah, I mean, even if they do come out a certain sort of way, it's not like they're like vastly superior to Tennessee, at least not in my opinion. Okay, so Josh Heupel, for what it's worth, postseason performances at Tennessee. The controversial and heartbreaking 48-45 loss to Purdue in overtime, where it did not appear as if the runner's momentum was stopped, but they blew it dead, and I thought he scored a touchdown, so that was controversial. The next year, Orange Bowl, 31-14 win over 10th ranked Clemson. Last year, 35-0 win over 20th ranked Iowa. Postseason in recent years for Ohio State, 14-3 loss at the Cotton Bowl last year. But that was, the quarterback was out. Did the Syracuse quarterback start that game, or did Devin Brown start that game? I can't remember. But anyway, and then the year before, the 42-41 heartbreaker to Georgia. The year before, they got fortunate. Cam Rising got injured, and they beat Utah 48-45 in an absolute barn burner. But then they lost in the title game 52-24 to Alabama back in 2020. And they lost the Fiesta Bowl to Clemson 29-23 in 19. So Day has not been exactly lights out in the postseason. Heupel 2-1, but a controversial loss in year one, which was his weakest team. Okay, let's backtrack to tomorrow night's game. Indiana at Notre Dame, and BetOnline has Notre Dame installed as a 7-point favorite with a total of 52, and the Hoosiers on the money line are plus 230. And I'll let Jay go while I look up the weather report in South Bend, Indiana.
You and I are going to be different on this one. I know that you've got you're debating whether to get a Kurt Signetti tattoo on your bicep because of your man crush on him. And I get it. Hey, he it's been a great story. You love everything about him since the moment he said, "I win, Google me." And so you've been on train Signetti from the jump. Notre Dame's got more dudes, man. Notre Dame's got more dudes. Ohio State had more dudes. They punched Indiana in the face. That's how this goes. Indiana's played virtually nobody. So, I mean, look around. They've played a whole bunch of middle-of-the-road teams. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to badmouth what they've done this year. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. And maybe the greatest testament to Signetti as a coach is what James Madison was able to do yesterday after he left them with the talent that he left there.
Mm-hmm.
James Madison looked good last night, Wednesday night in whatever was that the Boca Raton Bowl. I
Yeah.
mean,
By the way, Jay got
the names of the bowls just suck now.
Yeah, Jay got a lucky winner with James Madison. I got a bad beat with Western Kentucky yesterday for those wondering and scoring at home. Go ahead.
Take out all the adjectives you want. You get a winner or you get a beat. That's how that works.
That's true. That's true. All right, are you ready for the weather forecast?
It doesn't matter to me.
All right. Well, this is so funny. When was it? Was it even yesterday? I was on the radio with somebody yesterday, and they were telling me how it's going to be like 12 inches of snow. Right now it says it's going to be 30 degrees at kickoff. 15% chance of precipitation. 10-mile-an-hour winds. I will point out Curtis Rourke is from Canada, for those if that matters. So he's used to throwing the ball around.
If this is a hockey game, then that greatly plays into the conversation.
No, he's used to throwing around the ballpark in a cold
Have
weather
you ever tried to drink beer against a Canadian? Dear Lord, they can kick back cold ones.
Well, it's dark. It's dark half the year up there. I mean, they got nothing to do.
And they sit inside and say, "Hey," and Molson.
So this is what I want to do with Indiana. I want Notre Dame to get ahead. I'm only interested in Indiana catching double digits, but I think Notre Dame I think it's a pretty good chance Notre Dame gets a lead. If they can get a 10-0 lead and I get Indiana like plus 12.5 live in the second quarter or whenever, that's what I want to do. I don't even know that I'm going to do anything pregame, but I want to get Indiana live bet as a double-digit dog, and that's what I'll be looking to do. So there you have it. I'll tweet it out live in-game when I do it. All right. Anything else on that one? I'm not interested in any of these totals. I don't know about you.
No, I'm not either. Especially, 3 of the games are up in weather. And, you know as well as I do, a whole lot of these coaches, hey, they're completely content to win 17-10.
Oh, it's survive and advance. Now that we're 12-team playoff, it is absolutely like the NCAA tournament, and that's all that matters. Survive and advance. 11-10 works just fine. Okay, so let's go to the early Saturday game at noon Eastern, and that would be SMU at Penn State. And BetOnline has Penn State at 8.5 with a total of 54, and the Mustangs are plus 275 on the money line. And I like Penn State in a money line parlay or a teaser. I'm not going to lay the 8.5. I wouldn't mind SMU getting a lead early. If I could get Penn State minus 3 or fewer live, I might be interested in that. And what say you, Jay?
This is the one game. Keep an eye on the weather because it always changes. And I know it's going to be cold, but this is the one game I would lean towards going north on the total just because SMU offensively is good, but they're not ready for what Penn State's going to deliver offensively. And I see this game being played in the 30s. I agree with you I think Penn State's the better side, whether you're talking about a money line parlay or teasing it in whatever direction, although I try to avoid teasers at all costs. That number in a scenario like this, especially for a guy like James Franklin, you talk about 11-10 being plenty, 13-10, whatever else. He gets a 7-point lead in the fourth quarter. That guy's going to milk the clock like Rip Van Winkle. This one's that's a tough number at 8.5. Penn State's the better side. My play on this one actually would be north of the total, just because I think SMU to stay in the game is going to have to score and score a lot.
Okay, so at noon Eastern in State College, Pennsylvania, according to weather.com, it is going to be 27 degrees. However, it is going to feel like 15 degrees because there will be winds out of the northwest at 15 miles per hour. That's when I go to the hourly, and the hourly stops at noon Eastern. So let me go to the daily. Okay, so Saturday, winds varying from 10 to 20 miles an hour at it won't get dark though. So at night it's going to be a low of 11 degrees, but the starts at noon. It won't be dark. So that's irrelevant. All right. So you heard Jay's opinion. Mine is that I'm okay with Penn State in a teaser or money line parlay, but no pregame action for me there. And all right, we go to the next one, Clemson at Texas. We haven't done this one yet. No, Clemson at Texas. Bet Online has Texas at -12, total of 51.5, with Clemson on the money line for a generous plus 360 return in the first half. You have Texas laying 6.5 for the total of 26.5. What do you think?
The only number I like on this is Clemson or Texas in the first half. 12.5 is too many for me. I think Dabo is going to cherish the role as being almost a 2-touchdown underdog. The Texas quarterback drama should be concerning, or at least eye-opening for a lot of folks, about all the belly aching about why did Arch Manning not play more in the SEC championship game. Is Texas more talented? Absolutely. Is Texas at home? Of course. Is Texas explosive? And could this turn into 38-10? Yes, to all of those. But 12.5 over the haul. Hey, and Brian, while you got it up there, what's the first quarter number? If you looked up the first half number, what's the first quarter number?
First quarter number, Bet Online doesn't have it yet, but DraftKings has Texas -3.5, and so does the Westgate Superbook in Las Vegas with my man Jay Cornegie. Shout out, Jay. Thanks for all the rooms through the years. So there you go.
I would. My play would be Texas in the first half or the first quarter is how I would approach this.
All right. I'm not implying it's a big play by any stretch. Oh, by the way, weather will be absolutely perfect. High of 64 degrees, light winds, sunny skies. What a day for football in December in Austin, Texas. Quinn Ewers, last 2 games, 2 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. I like Clemson plus the 12. I don't got a whole lot of good reasoning other than Texas 2-4 against the spread, last 6 as a double-digit favorite, and one of the spread covers was against Florida with a third-string quarterback making his first career start, and the Gators had no shot, pretty much. All right, so there's your 4 CFP games, but we've got my Florida Gators in action tomorrow, and this line peaked at 14. I think I even saw 14.5 at one point early in the week. Right now, Bet Online is all the way down to 10.5, and the total is 49.5. On the money line, Tulane is plus 310. The Gators in the first half are minus 6.5. All right, so I can tell you that Ty Thompson is starting at quarterback for Tulane. Now, he is hitting the portal, but not till after the game. And as we know, Darian Mensah has already transferred to Duke. So he gone. And I'll have some other tidbits in my pick in a minute, but I'm going to let Jay give some thoughts now.
Well, my biggest indicator, you do a great job of crunching numbers. My biggest indicator on all of this is when it comes to bowl season is a shun theory in terms of motivation and participation. So in both of those, I think the motivation angle, and I know Ty Thompson was a big-time recruit and came to Tulane with high hopes and all of the things that come with that. But if you're in the portal and then you're calling plays in the huddle, how does everybody look at you? On the other side of the field, your boy DJ Lagway has galvanized a program to a place that most of the fan base now has had a complete 180 on the football coach. DJ Lagway has swayed the needle to the point that there are people who now talk themselves that Billy Napier needs to drop the Bob out of his middle name and can have success in the swamp. That Billy Napier and DJ Lagway can turn this into Florida being what Florida should be and was and forever will be. But I think this game, this is a team that's honestly been playing to get to a bowl game, any bowl game, for the last 6 weeks. I think this game matters to everybody in that locker room. I lay whatever number they want to put out there because I think Florida is going to truck a Tulane team, because a lot of times we look back through the course of the pre-playoff bowl scenario and we look at SEC teams coming off a disappointing season and getting a smaller conference team Super Bowl. Those roles are reversed. Middle of November, Tulane was talking about potentially being in the playoff. Middle of November, Florida was talking about firing their coach, and they weren't going to go to a bowl game at all. So those roles that mentality has to be reversed at this point. And now you're going to give me the Florida athletes? This is a 3-touchdown win in my mind.
Yeah, I'm on the Gators as well. I'm going to play them -6.5 in the first half and -10.5 for the game. Actually, I think you should buy it to 10 if your number is 10.5. And let's also remember Tulane ended the season, even when they did have Darian Mensah, the quarterback, who, by the way, had a 65.9 completion percentage, 2,723 passing yards, and a 22-6 TDI-NT ratio. They still lost at home to Memphis 34-24 as a double-digit favorite. And they got thumped at Army from start to finish 35-14. So they're off getting their asses kicked twice. Now, here are Ty Thompson's stat. This is his first career start. He did play in 15 games for Oregon, but he played in 7 this year. He only threw 11 passes, completed 6, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. But when he came in, it was usually to run the ball. He did run 40 carries, 243 yards, 6 touchdowns, 6.1 yards per carry average. So he's going to be running the ball a lot tomorrow against the Gators. But let's remember, if you look at Florida's defensive stats for the year, they're terrible, just like they have been for like 4 years in a row now, or since 2020. And so what's that, 5 years in a row? But against LSU, they only give up 16, and that's a pretty good offense with Nussmeier. Against one of the best offenses in the country, Ole Miss, they only give up 17. And then at FSU, they only give up 11. So Florida's defense is playing well. And Tulane's not that great against the run. And as Florida has Lagway, but they've been running the ball really well lately. Montrell Johnson's been back the last 2 games, 18 carries, 107 yards against Ole Miss, 10 carries, 99 yards against FSU. And it's a double running back whammy with a Jaden Baugh, who in the last 6 games has 106, 64, 88, 65, 46, and 81, and 6 touchdowns in the last 6 games. And Tulane's run defense gave up 335 to Army, 236 to Memphis in these last 2 games. And back in September, they gave up 215 to K-State and 182 to Oklahoma. I think Florida runs it a lot. I think Florida wins, and that's that, and covers. All right, so let's see. So we won't be back with you guys until I guess we'll do a show on Thursday, the 26th, or we could do it Friday.
Either way.
Yeah, we can do it either next Thursday or Friday. So between now and then, do we have any SEC teams?
Oklahoma plays next Friday, I think, the 27th.
And Vandy. Yeah, and Vandy. So let's go ahead and talk about Vandy and Georgia Tech and Oklahoma Navy. If that's and Arkansas plays that night. But if we do the show on Friday, it might not get out. So let me give you the lines first. Georgia Tech is 2.5 to Vandy. That game is in Birmingham. Bet Online's got the total at 51.5. And if you like Vandy to win outright, they are plus 120 on the money line. All right. You go ahead with your thoughts as I get ready to prepare you for who's going to be out for Georgia Tech And you go ahead.
Well, I mean, you're talking about 8 days out. This could change whatever else. I will say this: I think this is going to be one of the more competitive non-playoff bowl games of the entire postseason, because I think both of these teams are really happy to have a chance to play in a bowl game after the last handful of years of utter frustration. But I'm going to give the advantage. I mean, we don't know that we're still so far out. We don't know who's going to play and how healthy anybody's going to be. But we don't even know if the Singleton kid who has entered the portal, who is by all accounts as good a player in the portal, the tech wide receiver, as anybody still out there, has he opted out? I mean, I don't know. We're now getting all these stories of guys coming back and playing.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't think he's going to play, but Diego Pavia is going to be motivated. I mean, this is I lean Tech because I actually think Brent Key is a really good college football coach.
Yeah, no, and these are not two teams that I've been looking to go against this year. They're two teams I've been looking to bet on, especially as underdogs. So Singleton has 56 catches, 754 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and also 131 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, 6.2 yards per carry average. But he's not the only guy that has hit the portal. As I get to where I'm trying to get right here, because I'm going to let you know who else has hit the portal. Wrong place. Darn it. Say something, Jay, while I find out where I need to get here. Here we go.
Well, I mean, I'll be real curious on now that he's been given an extra year of eligibility. Is not, and we're talking about in the last handful of hours of this. If you're Diego Pavia, do you not roll the dice in the portal?
Oh, nah, man. He's loyal to Nashville, baby. He's
really?
No.
Just like he was loyal to New Mexico? Just like he was loyal to the junior college? Just like
well, his coach and his OC were leaving for Vandy. So
no, I get it, man. I'm not bad mouthing a kid for whatever any reason.
Sure.
But look up and think of the schools that need a quarterback. If Oklahoma called and said, "Hey, you don't think Oklahoma's going to double whatever Vandy's going to offer?"
No, they got the Wazoo quarterback.
Okay, bad example. What happens if Lincoln Riley gets desperate at USC? Who's Notre Dame's next quarterback? I mean, who's James Franklin going to get? I mean, you can't tell
Holler's coming back. Bad example.
Guys with bigger paychecks and bigger checkbooks than what Vandy can give Diego Pavia now that he's got an extra year.
Okay. Georgia Tech has 11 outgoing transfers. Tay Seymour is headed to Auburn. He had 27 tackles this year. Romello Height is headed to Texas Tech. He had 2.5 sacks, 1 interception, 2 forced fumbles, and 17 tackles. I gave you Singleton stats. They also have an offensive tackle, Corey Robinson, is transferred to Arkansas. The backup, Zach Pyron, is transferred to Minnesota. Wide receiver, Christian Leary has transferred to Western Michigan, and I don't even see his stats. 3 catches, 27 yards, so who cares? But, yeah, so, and let's see how many. I think Vandy's got 15 guys, and I'm almost there. One moment. So Vandy has in the portal 15 guys. So there's that. And we'll find out.
Not only is there that, man. Yeah. I mean, and we'll talk about it next week, but South Carolina not only gave him an opportunity, but South Carolina gave Kyle Kennard a springboard into being arguably one of the most decorated defensive players of the year. I mean, he won the Bronco Nagurski trophy, and now he's opted out of the bowl game. And I get it. I'm not bad-mouthing any of these players for doing it. It's a business decision. So, I mean, who in a million years we can't say whether Diego Pavia in the next 48 hours is not portaling.
Right.
Portaling needs to be a verb. Portaling.
I used that in my article yesterday, but my Microsoft Word was putting a red line under it, and I'm like, we ignore you.
Yeah.
It's a verb now.
But you got to use it with two L's. Portaling has to have two L's.
Oh, I wasn't using two L's. Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
There you go. That's why I used to be your editor.
And with that, we're going to take a timeout. Are you an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify? Are you ready to bet on yourself? Tired of answering to the man? If so, let me tell you about our guy, Andy Ludecke, and his company, MyPerfectFranchise.net. Andy had it with corporate America. He was ready to start his own business. He did just that. Now he's got multiple businesses, and he can help you do the same thing. Andy's a great guy. He wants to help people. Here's how it works. You go to Andy's website, myperfectfranchise.net, set up an intro call, 1 hour consultation. And here's the best part, 100% free. You're going to tell Andy about your passions, your goals, your skills, the time and money you have to invest in this endeavor. And then Andy's going to figure out what sort of business fits your DNA. He's going to register you with potential franchises. He's going to find the best franchise that suits the vision and corporate culture you want. And before you know it, you're going to be on your way. And Andy Ludecke is going to have you making greenbacks galore. What are you waiting for? Reach out to my man, Andy Ludecke, myperfectfranchise.net, or call him at 404-973-9901, myperfectfranchise.net. Okay. Instead of talking those Friday bowl games, so we just don't. There's too many unknowns. I know we just talked Vandy, Georgia Tech, but we don't know how many guys are playing or not. And Arkansas's got so many outgoing transfers. I don't know if any of them are going to stick around. But we may be, unlike these Conference USA and Sun Belt and MAC games, where some of those teams don't even have a beat writer, or at least I can't find one on Twitter. So I think it will be a lot easier for the SEC teams to find out who's playing and who's not, because those teams have like 20 beat writers. So what we're going to do right now, we are going to jump into some college hoops talk, and all the talk is about the SEC and Oklahoma with a huge win last night in Charlotte over Michigan, as Jeremiah Fears hit a audacious 3-and-1, down by 3, made the free throw, 11.5 seconds left, and they clip Michigan. Another great win for the league. So right now at Ken Palm, this is where the SEC teams stand. Auburn number 1, Tennessee number 2, Florida 7, Bama 9, Kentucky 12, A&M 19, Mississippi State 26, Ole Miss 28, Oklahoma 36, Texas 38, Georgia 39, Arkansas 40, Mizzou 49, LSU 55, Vandy 57, and South Carolina 68. South Carolina off a huge win the other night against Clemson. All right. Janai Broome. We talked about that. That'll be one to monitor in the coming weeks. But whatever initial thoughts you have, whether it's Florida UNC the other night, Alabama struggled last night, barely getting past the North Dakota team that had lost to Bethune-Cookman and Southeast Louisiana by double-digit margins down in Mexico over Thanksgiving.
Amazingly, the SEC has 3 of, what are there, like 6 or 7 undefeated teams left in the country now. And those 3 are Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Florida, all at 11-0. Mm-hmm. And I agree with Ken Palm. I don't think any of those are even the best team in the league. Auburn, I think, is the best team in the league. They have the best resume in the country. My visor notwithstanding. I mean, what I texted you the other night when Florida jumped all over UNC early and then held on for a much-needed cover as a 3.5-point favorite, got a little sweaty palms there towards the end.
Never a doubt.
But it all worked out. I actually think Florida has played as – I think if I had to rank them, what I texted you to share with the public to finish the story is Florida could very well be a 2 seed in March and finish 5th or 6th in the SEC is how good this league is.
If you finish in the top 8 in the SEC, you have had a hell of a year this season.
Well, and I mean, you're looking right now, there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 8 teams that are 10-1 or better. And that's not counting Georgia, who's 9-1. And that's not counting Alabama, who's 9-2. And Alabama's top 5 in the country.
South Carolina's got the worst record at 8-3. And, one
They've
loss.
won 5 in a row and just beat a Clemson team that's going to dance.
Yeah, I mean, they lost at Indiana in a neutral court to Xavier before Fremantle got hurt. And hell, even with Fremantle hurt, Xavier didn't they take UConn to overtime on the road last night, even without their stud? So yeah, even South Carolina's good.
Can you imagine the carnage every Tuesday and Wednesday night of the top 5 or 6 teams in this league? When they go on the road, they're going to be everybody's Super Bowl. They're going to have to be ready for the pressure and the spotlight that those Patino, Kentucky teams, those Donovan, Florida teams handled against inferior competition. And now you're talking about elite athletes. You're talking about, I mean, we talked earlier in the show about NIL and those guys staying in college for more money. You're also looking up, and in leagues that have more money, Auburn's got 10 seniors. I mean, it was less than 5 years ago that the majority of top 10 teams were filled with one-and-doners. Auburn has 10 seniors on their basketball team, and 8 of them play regularly.
So, hey, Lunardi, ESPN's Joe Lunardi, who does his bracketology, he updated it on Tuesday. He has 13 of the 16 teams in the field, but 2, Vanderbilt and LSU, are in his next 4 out. So, I mean, we'll see how the SEC schedule goes. But right now, going into the end of non-conference, 15 of 16 teams are in the mix to go dancing. I mean, that is absolutely unheard of. Like, this has never happened that I can remember.
And not only the depth of the league is something that I can never recall happening, and it's staggering. And I will tip my visor to you, my man. You do a much better job updating on your Twitter feed who you are on when SEC basketball plays make themselves available. I need to do a better job of that because it happens so much more in real time that we can't discuss those on a weekly podcast. But,
well, you can get your plays on an email every 5:30 in the afternoon.
Well, you can at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've been on a pretty good run. I'm about to be back up to 90 units over the last so plus 90 units over a 2-month period is something I'm quite proud of, and I'm trying to put some of that away for my kids' college educations. So not to borrow a line from Shawshank. So yes, and I can quote any movie you want to quote. I can do them all of it. Dad, do you want to have a catch?
Hey, so Georgia's minus 27 to Buffalo tonight. I won't be involved there, but I'm looking ahead to Saturday and to see. Let me filter the SEC and see what if we got any marquee games going on. I said Florida hosts North Florida. Actually, the Ospreys are pretty good. They won at South Carolina.
Auburn has Purdue.
Oh, and Mississippi State is at Memphis, and you are correct. Where are Purdue and Auburn? Is that at Auburn or is that a neutral? I can look on KenPom right here, right now.
And Ohio, Birmingham.
Yes, it is. Now that reminds me, it is. And then Ohio State and Kentucky. Let me see where that one is. I'm thinking that's a neutral. One moment. Okay, Kentucky, where are you? Okay. It is neutral. It is in the Big Apple. I'm gonna guess. It doesn't say Brooklyn, so I'm guessing it's at MSG in NYC. And according to KenPom, Kentucky will be favored by 4-ish. And as for Auburn and Purdue, and by the way, A&M beat Purdue in Indianapolis last week. According to KenPom, Auburn will be favored by 11, but I don't know if they're factoring in. And let's see if Janai Broome has got a injury status. Doesn't say questionable or anything. At least on covers, it doesn't. Go ahead, Jay.
Of those two, I really like Kentucky over the Ohio State more than I like. Purdue is salty. Purdue's got players.
Yeah, they got some players. Yeah,
and if with the uncertainty of Broome's status, that could be. I mean, it's going to be a quote unquote neutral site, but in Birmingham, it'll be a majority Auburn crowd, of course. So,
I'm not implying
It's a big number against a ranked team, man. Woo.
Yeah, it is. I'm not implying Don Best is on top of this, but Don Best has Janai Broome listed as questionable, and I think that sounds accurate until we hear something from Bruce Pearl between now and then. And you just watch Ohio State get absolutely annihilated by Auburn last week. Ooh, that was an ass whipping.
Front to back. I mean,
yeah, open handers, bare ass.
I'll tell you, man. I mean, I make no secret where I went to school. For God's sakes, my hair was messed up, so I put the visor on today. But not only is Auburn deep, Auburn is deep and utilitarian. I mean, they rotate in 3-point guys, they rotate in ball handlers, they rotate in big guys. I mean, they're not all just rotating around. In a lot of ways, I mean, Auburn's in the tournament pretty much regardless. A week or two without Janai Broome would not be the worst thing in the world to get you ready for a national championship.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree 100%.
I mean, to where other guys have got to realize and step up, they got to be half-court scorers or go-to guys in critical moments or minutes.
Yeah. So I'm looking at these bowl games between now and the next time we rendezvous, and I just don't. I got to study these games and personnel before, so I really don't have any picks, more picks to throw out. Other than I will go with the Cincinnati Bengals team total over 27.5 at home to the Browns. I know the Browns got a decent defense or a pretty good defense, but with DTR at QB, I don't think they'll get much help from the offense. Well, Bengals defense sucks too. You could do the over on that game. Any over of the Bengals in the 40s, I think will go over. But there's a lot of NFL injuries I got to get figured out before. So anyhow, that's about all I got. Mr.
Well,
Greeson.
I'm on Georgia Southern tonight.
Oh, I am too.
And I know you and I talked about it, but I like Florida a lot in this moment in their bowl game. And I guess my biggest question about the NFL is
my eliminator league.
Welcome to the Michael Penix Jr. era, Atlanta Falcons fans. And I wrote this earlier this week at the 5 at 10 on timesfreepress.com here in Chattanooga. I don't know if this is the beginning of a good run for the Falcons, but I do know it's the beginning of something. It's either the beginning of the Michael Penix Jr. era or it's the beginning of the end of the Terry Fontenot era as the GM.
Which would not be a bad thing.
No, it would not be a bad thing, but there is no way out of this. I mean, I can't think of two more impactful quarterback decisions that happened in like a 4-month span to give Kirk Cousins $180 million, $100 million of it guaranteed, and then to draft a first-round quarterback 8 overall. And if both of them wet the bed in the first season of this experiment, then I'm sorry, Terry Fontenot is going to have to go.
Should have been never hired, or gone already. But yes, I concur there. For those scoring at home in my Survivor contest, as I've updated it either last week or the week before. So we diminished the field from 1,552 down to 11 going into 3 weeks ago. So that going into that last Sunday in November, and 3 weeks in a row, we haven't lost anybody. Okay. I have the Packers this week, and that's who I've already plugged in that I'm taking. I've studied the rest of the field. 9 others have the Packers. In fact, I did my little breakdown here. I could use the Falcons, but I'm not going to use the Falcons. There's another team I could use this week. I've got a lot of good teams left. I have Baltimore left. The week that's going to be really tough for me is next week. It's going to be a very tough week for me. I'm really worried about it. The last week of the regular season, I feel great about Baltimore at home to Cleveland because Baltimore's not going to be in a position where they rest starters. But next week is going to be sketch city. I might have to take the Colts at the Giants, maybe. Yikes.
Well, and tell everybody what the payday is again.
23 large.
And it's winner take all, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if we're all still survived, it could get cut like 11 ways or however many ways. We almost got
carry over to the playoffs, would it? I've never been this deep in a survivor pool. I've had terrible luck in survivor pools.
I might have to go back and look at the email from August and read what I'm just assuming it's a split pot. I don't think it goes into the playoffs because what if nobody has a team remaining? Maybe everybody's used their playoff team. I think it ends. And
you need to find that out before you use Baltimore, big guy.
I think I will go to the fine print on an email from August in about 90 seconds and find out. All right, for Jay Greeson, I am Brian Edwards. For Bet Online, my perfect franchise in Southeastern 16. We will talk to you one day next week, probably Friday, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. Everybody have a Merry Christmas. Any parting shots?
No, just a Merry Christmas, and everybody should watch It's a Wonderful Life because it renews the soul.
There you have it. And with that, we are over and out.